I actually have 3 degrees. I have a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Film and Video Production. I have a professional certificate in screenwriting, and I have a Master of Fine Arts in Film and Television. My first time making money using my skills as a writer or a filmmaker after I graduated was probably before I graduated, where I shot some corporate video for my church. And I made a little promo for them on Sunday, and I think I made $75. And I was like, man, I'm loving this. When I first got out of undergraduate school, I applied to get into graduate school. And I didn't get into graduate school, but I got in a nighttime screenwriting program. And I did that program for a year, and I just sort of had random temp jobs in Los Angeles, working at the different studios. And then after a year of doing my screenwriting program and a year of randomly temping, I got my first entertainment job working at a movie studio and network TV production. I actually got that job through my church in Los Angeles. They had a job fair, and there was a representative there from a major studio, and they got my resume up the food chain and into the hands of the hiring person in the network TV production, and I got the job, from church. Technically, I was a senior clerk, but I was performing as a staff coordinator, which is actually the counterpart to a production coordinator on a feature film. And I got to use a lot of my skills that I learned in film school because I had to distribute call sheets, I had to write memos and letters, that were dealing with the issues that we were having in production. It was actually a rather interesting opportunity. I was using a lot of the skills more so that I'd learned from the production side. And in general, from the writing side of my skills, writing is a very universal skill set. Writing is sort of like logic, because to write, whether it's to tell a story or write an essay, you have to create a structure. And a structure is logic. And so whether you're actually writing a screenplay or writing a book or even writing a letter, you have to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. You have to have a goal, and you have to be able to achieve that in the amount of space that you're given. And so as a staff coordinator, I had to write a lot of letters, and I had to write a lot of different things, and I had to do a lot of convincing of people. And so I was definitely using my skill sets as a writer and my skill sets that I learned in production. The class that I'm teaching now prepares students for jobs outside of the entertainment industry by teaching them how to craft a story and how to create a structure. For example, some of the jobs I have that weren't necessarily in Hollywood or working at the movie studio was I was a writer, editor for a web company where I had to write and create webisodes, web entertainment. Sometimes the webisodes were given to me like reality show footage where there was no story, and they said, Chris, create a story and edit this into 5 minutes and have it by Friday. And so I had to rely upon what I knew about story and structure to find a story in this random footage and turn it into something that had meaning. I've also been a promo producer for a national show on PBS where I had to write the promo, I had to edit the promo, I even had to direct the talent remotely by telephone. As I mentioned, editing is also very similar to writing because it also requires structure. Writing and editing are very mathematical, where if you looked at your edit on a timeline and you looked at the structure, it would actually have a geometric shape that actually had a logic to it. You could just look at the shapes on your timeline and see the introduction, you could see the conflict, you could see the rising action. It actually has a structure visually. If I could go back to my 20-year-old self, I would say get out there, hit the pavement, think out the box, and just produce your own project from the very beginning. I'd also say look beyond Hollywood. There's actually more opportunities outside of Hollywood than there are inside of Hollywood. And there's actually more opportunities outside of the United States than inside the United States. And you're going to tell me that, well, when I go online, or if I go to Los Angeles, there are a lot of jobs, but LA is kind of like musical chairs. Have you ever played musical chairs as a child? Let's say there's about 10 people and 9 chairs, and when the music stops, one person doesn't get a chair. Hollywood is sort of like there's 1,000,000 people and 2 chairs. So if you do the math, think about where the opportunity is. I made a documentary once called How to Make It in Hollywood Before You Make It, and the best advice I could give to my students is what Yolanda Cruz said in my documentary, that you're going to have to work very hard. Sometimes it's counterintuitive. If everybody is doing it, a lot of times that means that's not what you need to do. You're going to have to think outside the box. You're not going to always be able to follow the pack. When you get to Hollywood, there are going to be a lot of people on Sunset Boulevard trying to get their party groove on, thinking they're going to network. But you're going to actually have to have some product. You're going to have some skills. You're going to have, while everybody else is at the beach and at the party having a great time, you're going to have to be at home working hard, you know, figuring out how to get ahead. It's going to take a lot of hard work, but don't give up. Most importantly, what I could share with students is self-empowerment. You have to believe in yourself. Like Robert Rodriguez, when he made his classic film El Mariachi, he took a look at himself and said, well, what do I have? I have a guitar, I've got a school bus, I've got a couple of friends, and he made a movie out of what he had. He thought outside the box. He self-empowered himself by using the tools that were available to him. If you work hard, you think outside the box, and you self-empower yourself, one day you might find out that you're happy.